For a church to be safe, I think that means it needs to be a place where people can go and feel accepted. It doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter how you come off. You're accepted, and you feel like you're accepted. It's harder to come across than you would think, unfortunately.
I grew up in a small church in a small town in northern Canada, and the lead pastor didn't have any accountability structures in place, and so he used his position of influence to hurt our family. But one Sunday, one of the men that was close to the pastor stood up and declared that he was on the pastor's side, and anyone that was on the pastor's side should stand up with him. And the whole church stood, and that was our cue that it was time to leave. We were forced out of our home church, we were forced out of our family, and it hurt a lot. Thankfully, a few months later, we began attending another church, and there was a pastor there that rescued me, poured into my life, and changed it for the better. And because of him, I'm in ministry now, but there was a lot of hurt that came from that church family and how we were dealt with.
I would say that a safe church is a place where you can freely express your thoughts on anything and everything, and you won't be shut down or screamed at for holding an unpopular opinion. You know, it's a place where we all can freely express both the truths that we know and the doubts that we face, and still call ourselves a family.
My parents had to stop going to their church home because of my younger brother who has severe autism, and they didn't have anything to do with him. And instead of calling my parents and asking if they were okay or where they were, they sent them a letter saying that they were never allowed to come back because they had stopped tithing.
The church is safe when all questions are taken seriously, when anyone can walk in and feel welcome no matter what state they're in. The church is safe when leadership is willing to admit that they don't know the answer to a question, or maybe that they've answered one wrong in the past. The church is safe when one member can sit down with another member and say, "I disagree with you, but I love you enough to hear you out and not write you out of our story."
Back when I was in middle school, my family and I went to a church that was a good half hour away from our home. Practically all of the kids in Sunday school went to the same private Christian school. They lived in the same communities. They saw each other everywhere. I felt like I was constantly trying to break through this wall to get to where they were. I'm not sure what could have been done differently necessarily, but I do know that I walked away from there never again wanting to involve myself in a church that's full of people who are so alike. I feel safe in churches with diversity because I've been on the outside looking in, and I don't ever want to be a part of a church that's exclusive.
What does it mean for the church to be safe? We need to be able to have deep and loving relationships that point each other towards Christ. The danger in this is that it requires a high level of vulnerability from us and a high level of risk in that we need to be open, which for anyone that has been hurt by the church is a really difficult thing to open up to.